In this lesson, we will continue to cover editing photos. Please follow along by opening Elements and opening the peacock photo found on the X drive. This is the second step in editing our photo. Remember, we improved this photo in a previous tutorial by using the Levels command. We will now continue by using the Saturation command. I have already duplicated my image as shown in the undo history and completed the Levels step, which we did previously. And now I'm going to open up the Saturation screen. You can do this by finding Enhance on your menu bar, going to Adjust Color, and Adjust Hue and Saturation. Notice the shortcut key, which here is Command U, which on the PC is Control U. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to bring it over here where we can see most of the picture. Move my pictures a tad bit. So saturating your photo is merely bumping it up, which is technical lingo for enhancing the colors on your photograph. This should be done carefully and with taste, as an overly saturated photo is not very pretty. Let's look at the controls. The most important slider is the saturation slider. Let's look at what happens when we slide it to the right. As we gradually move to the right, we see the colors getting much brighter. I'm going to move it all the way to the right, and you can see that we have really overdone it. Many people oversaturate their photo. Not to this extreme, of course, but it is extremely important for us to use good judgment. I'm going to reset this by just typing in 0, so that brings this highlighted box back to the beginning. So let's look at what would be the best setting would be for this photo. I'm just going to slide this up and have a look. I kind of like it about here. Okay? Remember our preview box. We can see what it looked like before and what it looked like after. Huge difference. Again, not too much oversaturation. Some of the points that we might want to be wary of is right up here where it can be very bright. We don't want to oversaturate that. Everything else seems to be quite nice, and you can even see the detail right here in the feathers where the little bit of blue comes out along the edge. Okay, so I could click OK and accept this, but right now I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to show you a couple of other things that we can do with this saturate command. So I'm going to reopen this by using my shortcut key, Control U. This time I'm going to move the saturation slider all the way to the left. And notice I'm losing color as I go. As I get to the very end, I have a black and white photo. So I've removed all the color from the photo by going to the -100. This is one way to create a black and white photo. Not the best option, however, but we will cover converting photos to black and white in another tutorial. Oh, I moved it over a little bit and you can just see a little bit of the blue coming through right here. Okay, I'm going to hit 0 and bring it back to the original setting. The last thing we will point out is the window that says Master. In this drop-down window, you will see that there are a list of colors. If you select one of these colors, all the sliders below will now control only that specific color. Let's play a little guessing game. Of all the colors listed here, which color do you feel is the most prominent in this image of the peacock? Is it red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, or magenta? Let's start with the blue. If you guessed blue, one way to see what blues are in this photo is to select blue, slide your saturation all the way over to 100, and you can see what blues are in this photo. Notice at the top of the wing, right on the back of the bird, you'll see that there's some blue there. Not there, now it's there. So a bit of a surprise there, but really not a lot of blues in this bird. So if you guessed blue, you were wrong. Let's try green. You can see it's obvious that there are some greens on here. So I'm going to slide my saturation all the way over, and you can see where all the greens are. Mainly the tail, a little bit through the wing, and some on the grass. Okay, now obviously we don't want the green that big, but maybe I would like to leave it normally I wouldn't go this high, but I'm going to say at about 33. That looks good for now. All right, let's check out the cyan. Let's see where cyan shows up on here. Cyan shows up a little bit on the back, definitely on the dots through the tail, and a little bit on the wings where we saw the blue. I'll just deselect this so you can see. Notice the spots become much more vibrant. So I'm going to set that at 0 again, press 0, and now I'm going to slide it to gradually see what I like. I think I'm getting to a point now where if I go much higher than, I think 16 looks good. If I go much higher than that, the area up here around the neck is definitely going to be oversaturated. But the spots look good. Okay, so I'm gradually adjusting each color. Okay, let's look at yellow. Let's see. Oh, there's definitely a lot of yellow in this. Okay, so right now yellow is the leading color. So definitely lots of yellow. Maybe not something that you would have guessed. So I've reset this slider, and I'm going to slide this up. Okay, again, I normally wouldn't go this high on the master. Master, usually the range when you're using just the master is, you don't want to go much higher than 24 tops, depending again on the photo. But let's see what this, I like it like that right now at 27. So I'm going to leave it there. All right, let's look at magentas. Magenta. Wow, there's hardly any magenta in this at all. You're not noticing a change just on the top of the back. A little bit you see it sliding through, so we're not going to make any changes to the magenta. We're going to set that to 0. And our last one is going to be red. Now it doesn't appear to be much red, you might not think, but actually there's more red in this than any other photo. Or sorry, any other color. So we definitely don't want it there. Let's go back to 0 and see where we want it. I really like the brown wings. If you notice the red's coming really nice out nicely in the wings as I move up. But I don't like the background. Again, I'm going to slide back down, and I want you to look at the top area of the background and see how it starts to get kind of pinkish red, which to me looks a bit artificial. So I don't think I'm going to make much of a change here in the red. Maybe leave it at 4. And so I've basically looked at each individual color. One of the things I will mention that you could do at a later date, which we are going to cover in a different tutorial much later in the course. If I really wanted my brown feathers on here to have that saturated look with the deep red in it, I could highlight those wings with a special selection tool and only change the red saturation on those wings. I don't, however, want to do that right now. I'm just going to leave it as is. So, I think I'm ready to accept this. Let's see what it looked like before we did any saturation, and after. Oh, so much better. Okay, before I hit OK, I just want to point out one more thing. Up right here, where you see hue saturation written in blue, this is a help command. And this will appear on many of the tools or screens that you open. If you want to find out more information about a particular tool, you click on that and it'll bring you to a different menu. Okay, so we'll click OK. And nothing's happening, so we'll try it again. There we go. And I want you to notice in the undo history, so now we have duplicated our image, we have adjusted the levels, and we have adjusted the hue and saturation. Well done. Next, we will look at the brightness and contrast option, our third of 4 editing techniques.